just want to introduce John Claassen here. He's been working quite a few hours on the presentation, as you see, as well, and I'm very excited to watch it, as I'm sure you are too. Let's give a round of applause.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Good.
So I'm excited to show something that, it's been a work in progress for the last, since first semester. It was slow at that point. The last semester here has been really picking up on this development, and I'm excited to finally say it is ready to go. So I'm going to start off by giving you guys a little view. Actually, first I should talk the questions on this. It's an open source system, so we're going to have the ability to go on GitHub, and you can access this without requiring a cloud membership here. Anybody can do this anywhere around the world, so it makes it great that way. You can look at the code, you can see how it performs, and even make improvements if you want. It's all up to you. There's one file that allows you to specifically, that's been documented very well, for you to work on your bot. It's been built with WPF, which it's actually, I've given it a quite friendly user interface to make it so that you can design and test your bot. It also gives you stats and records, so you can actually play, let's say, 50 games and see who's the best bot, because one match in a random bot selection of moves doesn't tend to give you the right answer. And I'm hoping to get a competitive competition going on with this. So here is what it looks like. So I did a small record of this. As you can see on the left here, we have your move index. And then up at the top right there, you can choose to cancel a game. If you're in the middle of it, play it, or play an N amount of games. You can choose your bot, or a human if you want to play yourself. And you can also choose if you want to move at a very fast pace for your bots with animation, without animation, or even if you have two bots battling each other, move right to the end of the match when it's a win or a loss, or a draw. It tends to be mostly draws right now with my bots. So as you can see here, I'm playing around with those speeds. And in the bottom right there, you can see the record as it updates. You'll notice mostly draws. This is where I'm hoping we can get some actual improvements and bots that actually have an end game. Because right now it's actually a really complicated algorithm to actually figure out how to trap the king. Because right now, like a king there's a built-in methods to make sure the king can't be captured, right? It's impossible. So your game pieces, mine are right now looking at attacks as a high priority if it's a valuable attack, but they're never going to be able to see an attack on the king. So it's actually a really complicated thing to know how to plan where their king is and to move pieces in accordance to trap them from moving. And at the end here, we got a stalemate. So I have Oberyn Martell and White Walker. Now, the Oberyn Martell is a better bot. He actually is smart enough to attack and also make sure it's safe, compared to White Walker, who just goes in blindly with the queen attacking the pawn and then loses the queen. It's pretty bad. But right now, it looks like the Oberyn Martell is the loser. But if you play it, I'm right now doing N amount of games. As you can see, it's counting down on the top right there. So we're going to actually see Oberyn Martell get to the lead. It takes quite a few games before we really see who's the better bot. And there is a small demonstration of that. So, the cycle of the game, how it works is once you've created the game itself, it goes into a toggle mode between your bots, or between you and the bot. The purple is your code. There's three methods that that the main program calls to your bot to see what to do on these times. Refresh memory is very important actually for if you have any references to the board, the players, or the game pieces, because each time you get a new virtual board. Now there have been people, including Ronnie, who've tried to cheat. Why wouldn't you, right? I mean, you got to see if you can move their other pieces. Let's win another way. It's easier that way. So I prevented that. So there's a virtual world where you can mess with it as much as you want. Once you send your move in, it doesn't matter what you've done to it. It's okay. You're going to get a new one again your next turn. So you have to refresh your memory of anything that references a game piece, anything that references a player or the board, because they're all objects with a reference, not an actual value. So they only hold a memory of an address. So now the my turn is, of course, what throws you. It asks you your turn to return just one single chess move, which you have to have a legal one in there. And I have a built-in function called possible moves. And that one there, with every game piece, you can look at possible moves. It gives you a list of them, and they're only legal ones. It prevents you from moving a king to a spot where you can be attacked. And it also prevents, well, you going off the board, let's say. If you move, and it's a pawn going to the very end, you can then also get a call back saying, hey, do you want a promotion? And so you have an option to choose what kind of promotion you want. I gave that flexibility. I first thought, well, it's going to always be a queen.
Yeah.
But apparently there's people who say, no, I want something else. So I added it there. So you have the option to get a knight, I guess. So here is how easy it is. Because, I mean, most of you guys, I would assume, know how to use GitHub, but for the few who are not as fresh with it, this is me using a browser that I've never looked at RoboChess. I tried to make it so I found some people had difficulty finding it, and I just made sure it was easy. So there's a README on exactly how to get to the file you need to edit. That will be your bot. And yeah, it's pretty small, so it doesn't even take long. This is on, I think, a computer here at school, and they're not the fastest computers. So this here is the file that you would work with. It's a derived class from bot controller, and you can make as many as you want. And when you do, they automatically get put into the radio list that you've seen there of all the bots. So you can make 5, you can make 10, you can make 20. If you make 20, they might be hard on that list to see. I don't know what's going to happen there. I have not tested that out. But if you do, I mean, you can. That's the thing. And so you have all this documentation, and you can see here my turn, promotion, and also right down here is refresh memory. It just talks about them, and also about how the board works, the navigation of it, and how to view things. Because everything's in a list. So there's another thing there is, if you guys are first semesters, you might not know about lambdas, and after this I can talk to you guys about that, give you more of an understanding of it. It's very easy actually to work with. It allows you to filter out a list and make it so that it's useful to you. And so here's me now just, opening it up and just showing it's all ready to go now. With you wanting to develop your own bot. So this is the most important struct for making instructions. It's asked on my turn, so this is what you have to return. You get 5 pieces of information that you're supposed to pass back. There is a 6th, but it's rarely used. And this isn't something I really want you to modify. I mean, maybe at a certain point we can maybe do it for flexibility, but it can break the program if you try to do it yourself, just because there's certain special details in there. If you want to, you could look at my inside code and see how I edit the files, or the struct, sorry, and maybe you can work with it. It's up to you. I mean, it's your program once you download it. The from is, of course, a cell object, same as the to. And piece moved and the piece captured are pretty self-explanatory. They're a game piece. And then there's move type, which is usually, you can also put a legal in there, but I personally would advise not to if you do go edit it. And it's pretty self-explanatory as well. The other info is, of course, your castling and your impassants. There's those special scenarios, so I had to do those. For piece captured, it's actually kind of tricky. Like in impassant, you capture it, but you're not capturing it on that piece that you attack. It's actually one cell back, so that's what the other info would be, then it's that cell. And you can see that when you look into the returns of possible moves, you'll be able to look at all those and see them. So in here, so you got the refresh memory, my turn, and promotion. And so here I'm going to be creating a new bot. I just copied and pasted your bot. And I'm just going to rename it even. And so it'll actually show you how also it updates the UI with your name. So when you look at the your bot file that is the one that you would be editing, it's very simple right now. It has probably about 6 lines of code, maybe 7, I guess. If you can, when you scroll down here, you can see actually how little it is. Okay, it's maybe like 20, but it's small. So here I'm going around actually back to White Walker, who's very aggressive. It's called the get the bloodiest. And he also has a function for finding out the value of the pieces. You can now edit your values, and you'd have to refresh that each turn. So in the get the safest, I'm now just commenting that out, and I'm going to make this bot a little bit more interesting. I'm going to give it the get the bloodiest. So these are my functions I built inside the bot. These aren't outside. These are something I just built in, like as a quick little helper function for you to see how to manipulate the data. Yeah, so here you can see that this here actually, if you looked at it there when I scroll down, it's game pieces dot piece is actually the value there has to be refreshed, as you can see. So in refresh memory, I have those functions both. They're always running each time you're getting a new turn. And so now when I play this bot, he's now very aggressive. So you can see now it's also got the name on there, bot ultra. Not ultra, but you know, why not exaggerate? Yeah, and so this is me playing against him, and I'm just going to actually show you how stupid he is. He's get the bloodiest, right? So he doesn't care. He's gonna, if he can attack, he's going to attack. So here you can see he moves his queen, and I'm going to be like, well, he's going to see my pawn here, and of course he attacks the pawn, but not the best pawn. And this is where you guys come in to make it so it doesn't do that. Okay. So the strategy is, I've made it so there's quite like there's some kind of very helpful tools in this. Because the world's virtual, you don't have to be too scared about messing with it. About like if you wanted, like if you didn't want to cheat, for example, you can look at your moves through a special function I'm going to show you. So this is looking at all possible moves at the very first turn. And when you have this function called virtual board, so that's the board you have, dot move piece. And then of course that move that you're giving it, at this point right here, it's given to you by that possible moves. It's constructed through there. And then you get to see now a new board, your virtual board with that new, with the piece now placed, maybe one of the piece captured removed. Now you get to also check, see if it's safe. And then you get to undo that move now if you want to do something else on that board. So you've looked at it, and then now you've gone backwards. It's like a push and a pull. And if you do a lot of moves forward and a lot of moves back, you have to make sure you do it in a stacking formation where the first plate off is the first plate back on. Or sorry, yes. And then of course, if piece is safe, then of course I'm adding it here. So this is making it so it's a little bit safer for me not to move. This strategy isn't yet being implemented with this. As you can see, we're looking at all the possible moves that this bishop can actually attack and be safe. And you can find out here it's using a value system. I've grabbed this offline. You can actually find quite a few documentations on using strategies. So it actually works out great for you guys. There's a lot of it out there. And it's using a point system to find out which one is the best one. And all of that can be accomplished with the move and pull of move piece and undo move piece. Yeah, and then that sets us up for when we do get bots to do a tournament. I'm really excited about that, to get a tournament so we can do like best of 50 matches, do like a little tier system, get a nice even like a board going on with all of our bots, and maybe even get little captions of them, you know? Like, and we'll do prizes. I'll definitely right now have to be the only sponsor for this. Next year, I'm hoping that we can get an actual industry sponsor, so we also have recognition and have, I don't know, maybe, who knows, let's say $1,000 if we actually get some. Would that be awesome? You know, we're talking if we had some good exposure. Like, let's get U of A involved maybe, I don't know. But for now, let's keep it, I guess, within Nate. Yeah. Thank you, guys.